We got the monthly report from August here, which goes over generally what's been happening in the studio. Not everything. Definitely not everything. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be left out of this that they're going to show us at CitizenCon, and there's also plenty of things that go on in the company, I think, that just don't get talked about here because either they aren't for sure. Like, they're things that if they said them in the monthly report and then we didn't see them come into the game within the next 6 months, people like myself would probably start quoting it in videos and causing uproar and stuff. So I think they do keep some of that stuff out of here. But for the most part, we're going to get real detailed into what's going on with the development of Star Citizen. This is going to be your normal Space Tomato deep dive into this. I'll be bringing up videos to reference some of this stuff, context from old posts that they've made about this stuff. We might even go back to old monthly reports. You know how it is. Take a lot longer than it's supposed to. And chat, we'll obviously be able to get in our own scruffles about it all. So let's get started. Kicking it off with the AI features team. Remember, AI features, they list it out of order now. At least I think it's out of order. So the way this is supposed to go is you have tech, which works on the tech, and they pass it to features, who's developing the features, and then the content team takes those features and turns it into actual content for the game. But maybe I'm wrong. Either way, we're starting with features today. Last month, that being August, AI features polished various reactions, including the first reactions when AIs respond to audio or visual events. While these behaviors had a solid base, various combat styles, weapons, and scenarios didn't play consistently, such as when escalating from a low reaction to a high reaction. To improve this, the team built a new AI test level called a test cell. This is a building block setup with different character types, weapons, covers, usable, etc. that allows the team to pick and mix different setups to produce a consistent version of test scenarios. A particular combination can be exported as one cell and imported into a single level where multiple test scenarios can be played simultaneously, allowing the team to quickly identify mistakes, fix them, and retest. You know what'd be great to do with this, CIG? You know what'd be absolutely the best thing ever to do with this system? Give us that PvE horde mode and let us test it out for you, please. Pretty please, thank you. That'd be great, awesome, thanks. The test cell level is also being used for cover hit reactions, which have different animation setups per cover type, combat style, and weapon type. Going forward, the test cell will be expanded to provide more consistency across a wide range of areas. I don't know how advanced the AI is going to be for Star Citizen. Obviously, reading this every month leads us to feel like it's very in-depth and very well developed and like it's going to be very detailed. We don't see a lot of this stuff in the game because of A, it hasn't been put in Star Citizen, it's mostly in Squadron, or B, the servers don't even allow us to see these kinds of behaviors. All I can hope for is that the AI is going to be as tricky as they were back in Fear from 20 years ago, because I still feel like the Fear AI, maybe it was simple, but the way it presented itself was so impressive to me. The way that they would strategize, and yeah, that's my hopes. All right, AI tech. The people cooking at the very bottom, these are the ones mixing the yeast with the flour and the water, you know, making the chemical reactions happen in the AI's head. AI tech continued to improve how NPC transitions between servers, including serializing movement requests and navigation paths. They also updated navigation generation elements, including one relating to computing navigation islands and one used when exporting processes into object containers. Progress was also made on converting the Apollo tool's UI style. A new feature continued development too, which the feature will share more about in the future. Apollo! It's been a little while. I love to always... anybody who's been around here long enough, you've gone through this multiple times where I see something mentioned about Apollo, and I gotta bring it up. The old Subsumption UI. It goes back. We got the old. This is like 2018. March 29th, 2018. This is basically how the AI functions in terms of its flowchart. If this, then that, essentially, but on a very large scale. And with a lot of different other things in there, like if this and that would be super simple. I love that app, by the way. This is like for missions and for AI, how they can make things flow from one to another. So we got another look at this pretty recently when Elliot, I believe, was on Star Citizen Live here. Yeah, Elliot Maltby, you can see in the corner here. And he was showing off how it flowed based on a mission running. The old Subsumption UI is an eyesore. Some peeps here still use it when Apollo has a bug sometimes. Yeah, the old one, I mean, even this looks fairly similar. I think this is, yeah, it looks pretty similar. This is 2023 compared to 2018. This was an external tool. Okay, the new Apollo is in the Star Engine editor now. Cool. So this, like, Apollo replaced this kind of? Good to know. Yeah, that's good. Is this it down here, by any chance? It does look quite similar. This does say Subsumption. So there is a chance this is the Apollo editor. And it looks cleaner. I'll give you that. A new feature continued in development too, which the team will share more about in the future. Love that. By the time they share about it, I'll forget about this sentence that they told us they would. AI content. In August, the social AI designers joined the narrative team to form a larger group focused on improving the Star Citizen experience. I love that. As part of this, they began meeting with design and creative directors to walk through various locations, looking for opportunities to clean up existing behaviors or add new ones. While many of the behaviors will be based on work done for Squadron 42, the expansive nature of the PU will require bespoke additions. Yeah, I freaking hope so. We got a lot of factions in Star Citizen, and I think one of the biggest things that would separate Squadron 42 from Star Citizen are the amount of different groups of people they can actually make act a little bit different. Obviously, you're going to have to use a lot of animations, wild lines, and stuff across multiple star systems and factions, but I would love to get a solid idea of how it's different to live in Crusader and come across a Ninetales person versus being in Odin and coming across a headhunter. You know, like, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons for having different star systems is so that it feels like a kind of a different game when you're in a different star system. Otherwise, what so much is the point? And the way the AI acts, the site dressing, the music, of course, the risk, the economy, like, there's a lot of things that go into that. Glad to hear that they're working on social AI. AI content is also in the process of reviewing a location throughout Pyro, ensuring the environment and behavior setups work correctly together and instill a sense of the intended narrative. The team also met with the designers of an upcoming mission to provide support for some of the locations that will be visited by players, including applying believable behaviors to NPCs. Aside from outlining behavior improvements and needs for Star Citizen 1.0, narrative design kicked off several initiatives to determine the required tech and use cases for future social spaces. This will ultimately lead to a vertical slice showing a gold standard social space with the level of interaction the game will aim for. We gotta get a Star Citizen Live about that. That's gotta be a Star Citizen Live. We've seen some pretty interesting stuff AI related on Star Citizen Live. Oh my god, there's so many. Okay, I'm just gonna, whenever these take a while to load, I'm just gonna put them on the screen so you guys can watch the process as well, because sometimes this takes some time. Let's see. So we got some AI updates. This was the combat stuff. This was, yeah, this is that. This is navigation. Here we go. So we got some interesting stuff from Star Citizen Live here, where they showed us different clips of AI doing stuff. This was an AI that was, you know, basically jumping between what they were calling, I think, navigation islands. Using, gosh, what did they call them? Navlinks? Maybe? Navigation links or something like that. This is just him putting an elevator in an elevator, a trolley in an elevator, and then taking it out, which seems pretty simple, but, you know, obviously comes with the added complication that this guy is running on code and needs to be able to transition between two zones. And this is kind of what they were talking about with the servers too. So if these two zones were in different servers, they'd have to make sure that the AI understands its switching servers and does everything in a coordinated fashion. Now we also saw, I don't think I got the loading of the trolley. That one is actually more interesting, I think. There is a clip though of the AI actually loading up a trolley himself with boxes. That's significant, but I don't have it. And we've seen a lot of updates like that in Star Citizen Live. I think this sounds like it would be a really good opportunity to get more AI updates from there. All right, where was I? AI, in parentheses, Game Intelligence Development Team. So the GI team. The GIDT. GIDT. This is your AI GIDT section. In August, the Game Intelligence Development Team concentrated on delivering a clean and stable Apollo Starscript UX update. So there's our confirmation. This is Apollo. I'm going to save this. Hello. I love being able to just search for that. This involved adding support for higher icon resolutions so they stay sharp when zoomed in and straightening lines for clearer read. Drag and drop was improved too. Now when hovering ports with a bigger selection range are highlighted. The devs corrected the color and size of imported notes, added arrowheads to links leading to closed groups, and enlarged the hovering area and highlights on links and ports. Drop points were also added to links to identify the desired selected line. For anybody who is a game developer at a company that makes software, like it uses additions to a game engine or their own game engine, is this the fun part? Because whenever I see tools like this or Hex or Quasar or any of the other things that they're making for Star Citizen, I'm like, man, I feel like that's almost like a game on its own. All right, animation team. August saw the facial animation team developing content to flesh out more of the game world's characters. Gameplay animation continued to work on a selection of creatures previously seen in teaser videos alongside improving the creatures already in the PU. They also progressed with an unannounced addition that the team is looking forward to seeing in game. Yeah, well, that could be said about anything. What creatures have we seen teased? Let's search creatures. Oh, that literally gives me nothing. Oh. Okay, creatures gives me no results, but creature gives me plenty. So we've seen some of these already. We got the Pyro Crab that they eventually went with. That's this guy. I wonder if they'll launch this with Pyro. I'm feeling like they will. It feels like it's about the time that we see this guy come in with actual Pyro update. And I'm here for it. This guy seems tough and large. What else we got? We got this thing. I named it Kangaroo. A giant kangaroo looking thing. Can we... take off full... There we go. Got this guy. This is probably what ended up becoming the Copion. Little tiger looking guy. But this is way bigger than the Copion, so I don't know. A lot of these are earlier concepts. I don't know if they're coming in. These are the concepts for the Boreal Stalker. This will be found on Microtech. Oh. And the actual Boreal Stalker is... I believe they're going to show it here. This guy. So there's quite a few options, and then obviously we've got the space whales, which we still haven't seen. So yeah, cargo whales. Space whales will be a thing in Crusader. Those are probably pretty difficult to do. But we are expected to be able to like land on them and harvest some resources off of them, as seen in this concept art. Yeah, they got like barnacles on them that supposedly will have some harvestables, which makes for some interesting like mission or something. And then they've teased it a couple times, as they just said. A couple teasers here and there. So like they've got the model basically figured out. It's just a matter of getting the AI working probably. All right, Ort. Okay, this is Ort on the character side. Character Ort continued working on utility and specialist armors, while character concept Ort supported IAE and progressed with their ongoing exploration of fauna. Still not really sure what utility and specialist armors will look like. Ort on the ship side. Last month's ship art moved several unannounced vehicles toward their gray box reviews, while others approached their Lot Zero and final content reviews. Lot Zero and final content are pretty close to being released. I don't know what the heck others means. Usually they give us at least some number. I'm guessing one of these was the Atlas exosuit. Another one is probably whatever is going to come out at CitizenCon. It's probably the Zeuses are included in this. I think Zeuses would definitely be Lot Zero at this point. Let's see, Star Citizen, July. On the ship side, working towards new milestones for the Zeus. They give so little detail when it comes to these ship updates in the monthly reports recently. Like, they're not telling us anything. If you go to the year before, let's see. Ship team progressed with the RSI Polaris. The RSI Zeus Mark II is also approaching its final content review. So this one hit final content review all the way back in June. So this is probably something else. Unless maybe this was about the ES and now they're talking about the CL. I don't know. But we dropped back a year prior to this and look at how big the art ship updates are. They're huge. They're multiple paragraphs. Now we get like 2 sentences. And it's not just this month either. You could probably go... I mean, let's look at what this month last year looked like for this. August 2023. What did the art on the ship side look like? Look at that. Look at how much more text there is. They're just so quiet about ships now, you know? They don't want to give anything away. But there are several possibilities of what this could be. I think we're definitely looking at one of these. At least one of these. So this one is being considered more and more to be a Crusader starter ship. Because apparently John Cruz said there was one coming. I still don't know where that is. If somebody could send that link to me with the timestamp, that'd be great. And then there's this one, which is a Mirage ship. Pretty obviously a Mirage ship. And we still don't know exactly what this is. But both of these are expected to be coming in the next 12 months after this show. Just about everything has been delivered. So let's go back through it real quick and watch what they had to say about this.
Add to that as well, we aim to deliver everything you see in this video and more in the next 12 months.
So they've hit the and more, right? We've gotten things like the Peregrine, the Firebird. We just got the Atlas. And am I missing anything? There may have been one more that they didn't announce here. But we got these. So these are the pulses. We got the X1s from Origin. This was the Medical Ursa. The Argo MPV Tractor, or MPU Tractor. This is the one that we don't know about yet, but should be coming soon. And then this one also. These are the only 2 that we haven't gotten, or we don't know about at least. There's a couple that we haven't gotten in here too. So the Legionnaire we haven't gotten. This one's not coming in 12 months. I'm pretty sure they already confirmed they were wrong about this one. And I think this one's being held back by gameplay. Because not only have we not seen this ship in any form of development, they haven't said a single word about hacking. We went over this on the last stream. Hacking has been completely devoid of talk this year, even though it was supposed to be in the preview channel. So I think this is being held back by hacking gameplay and not necessarily the ship team, but I don't think we're getting the Legionnaire. Then this is the Zeus, I believe, which we should be seeing sometime probably in the next month, I would guess. I mean, they might release this for CitizenCon, but Definitely in the next month and a half. Modular Retaliator. Polaris. Which clearly was the fan favorite there. So there's only 2 ships from that list that they still need to unveil. And I'm guessing at least one of them is included in this list. Now, gray box is probably meaning things like, unless it's a small ship or vehicle, gray box means it's probably not coming until IAE at the earliest, but possibly even after that, December or even in the new year. So it's these LOD 0 ones that I'm looking forward to most. And LOD 0 is like a very high level of detail before they get to things like lighting and damage pass and stuff. I'm going to be working on a video probably this month. I'm trying to kind of time it to coincide with the release of the Zeus, whenever the heck that is. But a video that goes over the entire process of how they make these ships, from concept to white box, gray box, final art, and then released into the game. And if you are a supporter, I will be trying to release a exclusive video alongside that goes over what the gold standard of ships is. So keep an eye out for those ship videos. Yay. Okay, work on the RSI Polaris also continued with the ship's exterior approaching completion. That's a big deal for a lot of people. I know if Drazen in chat, he's shaking. Community, we mostly skip. But here at the end it says, the progress tracker was also updated with the latest production schedule through 2024. It introduces a significant shift in how deliverables are tracked while maintaining transparency throughout the year. Further updates, including 2025, will follow soon. We better be getting that Road to 1.0 at CitizenCon. And I don't mean like Road to 1.0 as in 2018 style where they show us the different slides. I want to see the list of what they expect 1.0 to include. Really got to have that. People need to know what this game is going to be. Okay. Core gameplay. The best segment. This one's good fun. Throughout August, the various gameplay features teams continued to improve the hangar and cargo flows for Alpha 324 based on feedback from the PTU. Meanwhile, a lot of behind-the-scenes changes progressed that will improve how various gameplay systems handle environments that span multiple servers. Wondering if that's the RMQ testing they talked about. What'd you miss so far? Art, animation, and AI. Progress was made on the overheat mechanic, with core gameplay adding support for different atmospheric temperatures. For example, weapons will overheat at different rates based on their environments. Dude, oh, that's what I love to hear. This has so many ramifications. The music that's playing right now is called Monuments by Signals. At least that's what my collection says. That might be completely wrong, but give it a go. So, the overheat mechanic, oh my god! I've been waiting so long for this, because if you go back in the roadmap, freaking heat's been around since, what, 3.4, 3.5? Yeah, heat, 3.5. Improvements to the heat system to provide a more systemic experience between items and vehicles. This will cover a variety of issues and their effects on vehicles, from how heat affects various components in a ship to incorporating heat values into the room system, all the way up to defining the ambient heat of a solar system. We kind of have this already, right? Goodspeed, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. We kind of have heat in some ways. Obviously, you go to different planets and your temperature says that it's a different type of heat in wherever you are. But not everything really reacts to that. On top of that, not everything has heat components. So like, something that I've always thought was weird was how you could stand underneath a thruster and it wouldn't do anything to you. They need to start to apply heat to those different things. Your weapon output, your vehicle output, your ship output, all this stuff. And hearing them talk about the idea that overheating will affect your weapons based on your environment, it sounds like that's the start of that movement. Not saying that suddenly we're going to get burned to a crisp from our terrapin thrusters pointed right at the entrance of our ship, but these are kind of like the first big steps, I think, in making that happen. And in my favorite games where there was an overheat mechanic, my mind immediately goes back to the plasma rifle in Halo CE. It's like the OG that I learned about maintaining firing rate so that my gun didn't overheat. Having that change based on your environment is pretty nuts. Because then we go and we look at, or we consider the way that life support is going to work in this game. When you have the ambient temperature of a room can be changed based on how you want to keep your ship. I don't know. This is probably a very silly example, but just imagine you have people who are boarding your ship and you know that they only use energy weapons, so you just crank the temperature inside your ship. So all their guns overheat too quickly and all of your ballistic toting friends are like, yeah, we got them. Like, it's that kind of dynamic stuff that I always love from immersive sims. And this feels like an aspect kind of coming from an immersive sim approach. We're only 2 lines in the core gameplay. Charge and Drain progressed 2, and now features client-side prediction to give immediate feedback to players when they're charging or draining, even if there's latency between the client and server. Gah! I love that. I need that for mining. You guys, how many times have you been mining and you're like throttling your laser up and down, and then everything just kind of hitches for like half a second, and that's all you needed to go over the limit and blow the rock? Oh my gosh. Client-side feedback that's pretty cool. Hopefully that doesn't mean that people can start to cheat it though. Charge and Drain is also cool. Because we've had this idea of the resource management system for such a long time, and that was always kind of what we expected to be engineering. That being this stuff, basically just balancing your power output, turning components on and off, changing out fuses. But now they're introducing actual repair on these components, and they're also introducing Charge and Drain, which allows you to remove distortion damage or overclock an item. And it's like, if you combine these various components, it makes engineering sound more interesting than just balancing power. So like, yeah, they're using lasers for quite a bit of it, but there's also some other parts that are physical, like the fuses and stuff like that, and moving components. And I think while lasers might be disappointing to some people, if they can combine lasers with other things, it still allows for there to be some pretty nice dynamic gameplay there. The team began adding logic to declutter the UI by grouping markers of the same type, while the implementation of weapon groups and group presets continued. I know people don't like the way the UI is cluttered up, especially with missiles right now. August saw continued progress on jump points, which began with improved debugging tools to better visualize potential exit points for players. Turbulence was also implemented, which will affect the flight experience within the tunnel. The designers are currently tweaking the strength to get the desired impact. Visual effects were added too, including cockpit vibration based on where in the tunnel the player is located. An obstacle, I wonder if that's just cockpit or if the whole ship will vibrate. And obstacles were placed that players will be required to navigate around. Further failure states for jump tunnels were determined before the feature was submitted to QA for testing. Nice. So it's in QA for testing in August. Sounds like things are pretty good when it comes to jump tunnels. Progress was then made on the resource network, engineering, gameplay, and life support. That's what we just were looking at. For example, core gameplay implemented a new behavior for critical components, which will replace the existing soft death mechanic. When live, only certain items like power plants will trigger an explosion or soft death. Oh boy. Holy f***. Oh my gosh. That is so big. That's wild. Jesus, that's like... Dude, I can't even... When was the first time we were told that's going to be the case? Wow. That's so nice to hear. So this is like one of the biggest parts of ships in the game, I feel like. that ships won't blow up anymore. Oh man, like that's, I mean, we talk about death of a spaceman and going into combat and how often you die in this game. And this is like one of the biggest ways that you die, getting removed. I'm not saying it'll happen immediately when they make this change, but the idea that components will break rather than your ship exploding means that you could hit the ground and not explode. You could lose a dogfight and not die. I mean, this is like that's such a big change. That's this is the whole stopgap that or the reason they put in soft death as a stopgap. You won't blow up from a rock being thrown at you. Yeah. So I'm betting it's like power plants and quantum drives. And maybe jump drives. Like the really big, crucial things. If this is replacing existing soft death, then that might mean that this is removing hull HP. We'll have to see. Ow. Just bit my tongue. We'll have to see. I bet they'll have an ISC about this because this is a really big deal. And I'm betting this won't be in for a little while. But that's a big change. It's been a while that they've been talking about that. Like one of the longest. Oh boy, that's cool. The engineering screen was polished while a new room selection UI was added for life support. We just saw this. This was the engineering screen here. Looking a lot better than... I don't know if I have any good examples of what it looked like before. Let's see. You know, I actually don't think we had that screen before now that I think of it. I don't think we ever had the screen that showed all the power levels. Let's see. UI was added for life support. The team also gave design the ability to control the total power output of multiple active power plants. This way, more power plants don't necessarily result in linearly increasing power production. Significant time was also dedicated to fixing stability issues and bugs following QA testing. So basically to say that power plants will run in series rather than in parallel. Or no, will run in parallel rather than in series, kind of. All right, where were we? July's work on radar and scanning continued throughout August, with the team reviewing it in Arena Commander to assess the impact on the player experience and tune values to achieve the desired effect. They also focused on closing out feature work for Delta signatures, giving design more control over how to react to changes. Tasks were completed for audio signatures too. So Delta signatures are significant moments in ship function. Activating quantum drives, powering up weapons, making a quantum jump. All of those types of things will trigger your computer or something. I don't know, Delta signature detected, something like that, that lets you know that something significant happened. And I do hope that this is their method of saying, okay, you're gonna know when somebody is powering up their weapons. Like I always thought master modes might be the thing, but I think most people will stay in SCM mode. Delta signatures does sound kind of like the way that they're going to make sure people can easily tell when somebody's making a big move. So they worked on it more here in July, but I believe they introduced the idea back in June. Here we go. Delta signatures. This mechanic has vehicles emit signatures when certain actions are performed, such as ping activation, the activation of quantum boost, and the changing of master modes. So like significant things. Yeah, quantum drive spool detected kind of stuff. The oh god, what is the one of my favorite parts of Elite Dangerous? This kind of stuff. Frame shift drive detected. That's it.
Warning, capital class signature detected.
So I think that we would get something like that whenever there's a Delta signature. The computer would just chime off and let you know that something significant is happening. And now we can all listen to it because it's amazing sounding. Love that. Thank you, MQ, YouTuber. You're wonderful for recording that. But yeah, I think that kind of thing is a nice sci-fi cliche. Feels good to hear it. Pretty cool sort of thing that happens when fun stuff is going on, you know? Fun things and cool things are great. We love those. Okay. Core gameplay continued supporting transit in the run-up to the live release while adjusting how transit data is stored to lower the maintenance overhead on level design. Elsewhere, the team reworked the shot enunciator. It will turn red if someone targets the player and fires their weapons. Enunciators for weapons, power, thrusters, and shields were completed while overheating and off states were implemented. The enunciator is the thing, the little like status board in your ship. I don't have any shots of that, but it's at the top of a lot of the ships. The ongoing mission system refactor progressed, with the team fixing various issues causing existing behaviors to break or function incorrectly. The mission system can now run in minimal mode, allowing it to be included in the seeding service and upcoming mission factory service, which generates contracts. Clients can now query available missions, and the contract generator can apply legacy settings to work with the previous system too. Implementation of service beacons for the mission system refactor began, while core gameplay supported mission design on remaining blockade runner and cargo hauling issues. Where's AAK? Where are you? Service beacons, ban. Okay, developers working on cargo gameplay primarily focused on major remaining stability and gameplay issues. For example, they fixed several problems with hangar instance queues, getting stuck, and players being assigned to the wrong hangar. Functionality was also added to the instance interior manager to better support removing non-active hangar instances. Several hauling mission bugs were solved relating to warehouse manager and freight elevator kiosk interactions, alongside issues with the kiosk transferring items on and off the loading platform. Bugs were also fixed related to Halsey auto-loading. Halsey. The Halsey. Auto-loaded commodity transactions and ship loading platforms getting broken by obstructions, with the fixes set to be implemented in the near future. The Halsey needs so much help. So much help. Okay, finally for core gameplay, the devs spent considerable time reviewing internal and external feedback to plan further improvements to the features released in Alpha 3.24. Alright. Economy team. Oh, I hate seeing an economy team update this small. That makes me sad. The economy team spent the month getting closer to uniting all their work into a cohesive economy consisting of ships, items, missions, fuel, consumables, freelancing, careers, and more. Progress was also made on the economy setup for Pyro. There's no way we're not getting an economy update at CitizenCon. It's well overdue. The last time we got a major economy update was 2021. Yeah, it would be this. And this wasn't even really an economy update. This is like a lot of stuff update. This was all kinds of gameplay update, and it was all just talking. We're like years and years overdue for some kind of big update on the economy and what's going on with it and the direction they want to go with the simulation. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. Alongside the ongoing stability and performance improvements for Vulkan, the graphics team improved debug tooling for the long-term health of the dev experience. For global illumination, support was added for high-gloss specular reflections, which builds on the previous rough specular work. The team also added live updates to GPU ray tracing acceleration structures and began working on improvements to transparent objects. From what I'm hearing, little whispers and murmurs, the graphics team is hard at work. I'm wondering if they want to try and get one of these, any of this stuff in for 4.0. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything in particular, like set expectations, but they're working, and it's either optimizations or new features, you know? That's the nice part about having all these different teams, is like some people are working on their own stuff and we completely forget about it till they introduce that feature. Performance-wise, the global illumination system now supports both temporal and spatial subsampling to accumulate the same visual result with fewer rays fired per frame. Ongoing tasks consist of async creation and additional types of destructible renderer objects such as cloud chunks gas cloud chunks, gross, to reduce frame time spikes on the CPU. For PlanetTech V5, the team focused on enhancing terrain performance through a computer shader-driven pipeline that caches material attributes to reduce redundant computations. Okay, sure, all right, whatever that means. They gave us a pretty solid update on the PlanetTech last year, but it was nowhere near, I think, what they're going to do this year, which is actually give us the next version of PlanetTech. We got PlanetTech V4 like 3 years ago. The amount of stuff they've done with Planet development since then is pretty gnarly, and I'm excited to see what kind of stuff they have to present for us when it comes to V5. I think a lot of it will be this kind of stuff that they showed us last year, where they even talked about the future of planets, but I'm thinking more unique large structures and generally the machine learning that they talk about at the end of this segment. I'll let you guys have a listen here.
These lovely height maps out of it that tell us a really realistic distribution. You can see here, this is a height map, so the black areas are low. You can see all the little rivers and valleys, and this had 0 R input aside from this image, which is a very nice result. It's early days. This is based on something called a custom diffusion neural network. It's, like I said, it's pre-trained on Earth data, and it's been built up in patches so that it just doesn't become too expensive to build. And the little circular patches get like added together, and to avoid any seams in the image. And just to help you visualize it, I've just put some colorization on it to show you where like snow and beaches might be, and just wrapped it around a planet to give you a better sense so it doesn't look quite so abstract. Yeah, but this is very early days, this stuff, but we're hopeful this will be helping the future of how we build planets quickly and efficiently. Thank you. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today is our Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan. This has been ongoing for quite some time.
Okay, I actually skipped the part where he was talking about that stuff, sorry.
And we'll be reusing the same type of patch-based system that Will talked about in his water presentation, and it should give you major CPU savings as well. So we're quite looking forward to getting this in. Another benefit is that it's going to give us the ability to add more complicated logic on, so we can do more diverse and interesting terrain, like things like, we don't have beaches at the moment, we'll be able to achieve that. And there's other similar things where, based on the local conditions, we're able to do more advanced decision making.
Wonder if they'll show us lava.
The thing we want to look at, which is probably the thing we asked about the most, is our scattering system, which is what's responsible for putting all the trees and the rocks down in the world. We're going to, again, move this to 100% to the GPU, and that should let us have vastly longer draw distances right up until the horizon, and much better performance. So we'll finally get rid of the dreaded pop of trees coming in for you. We also have to integrate it with our harvestable system, the resource system, and the awesome fire system you just saw a minute ago. Another point is it's going to be a hierarchical-based system, which what that means is we'll be able to use nearby vegetation or rocks to influence what other vegetation and rocks can grow or will show up. And this lets us produce much more complicated rule sets, so we can do things like have a tree that maybe underneath it doesn't have any grass, or maybe certain trees come together in clumps, and we'll get a much more natural distribution of vegetation. And final thing we want for planets is we want to be able to build them much easier, much faster, and we want to make sure they are truly unique. At the moment, our planets are unique. However, they are built from type of tile sets, like pre-built things that get mixed and matched together and blended in complicated ways so you don't see the repetition. But it's not truly unique, not in the same way that the Grand Canyon might be, or the River Nile, or Mount Everest. And that's what we want. So to get that, we need to replicate the complicated natural processes on Earth, like geology, climate, erosion, and these things aren't trivial. So we've got 3 options. We've got offline tools, Houdini, Terragen, things like this, where you could simulate all these processes in the engine. But we've started some R&D a few months ago on whether we can use machine learning to do some of this. So just to give you a quick idea of how that would work, or how it could work, if you just start with some random input here, it's just like some noise. We run it through a temporary simulation, so we can get a more reasonable approximation of simulation at different altitudes and latitudes on Earth. And then what we do is we categorize all this into different biomes. So based on the temperature and moisture, you'd find out what is a desert, what is a forest. And this part is crucial. So this is the input for our machine learning algorithm. We could come up with this image any other way. You could hand paint it as an artist, or we could just randomize the noise to get a different set of images. And then what we do is we take the large data sets we already have from Earth, from Mars, and from the Moon, and we train it on exactly the same distribution, so biomes, so forests, grasslands, and things like this. And by training it on exactly the type of data we get in reality, we can take this and then push just that, and then we can get these lovely height maps out of it that tell us a really realistic distribution. You can see here, this is the height map, so the black areas are low. You can see all the little rivers and valleys, and this had 0 art input aside from this image, which is a very nice result. It's early days. This is based on something called a custom
early days. Make a song out of that. But yeah, so this is kind of a little look into the Planet Tech stuff that they've been working on, and I think we'll hear a lot more about that during CitizenCon this year. All right. Alongside this, the revamped material scattering system now supports physically based distribution, allowing for denser biomes such as jungles and forest by eliminating distinctions between large and small mesh ground covers. A new per-object climate concept and new terrain attributes were introduced, including geology and soil maps. This is kind of related to the stuff we just listened to. Planet Tech also spent part of August supporting the Montreal Tools team on the location scatter tool. For this, they provided a new terrain query API for large-scale queries and extended query capabilities with further tasks aimed at supporting SDF-based terrain queries at signed distance field, which is basically putting a layer of detection over the top of an area. It's like it's how the shields work on ships. You can define a 3D shape, and the signed distance field will create a curve over that shape. Following on from last month's report, the VFX team focused on fire hazards. The feature work is now complete, with focus shifting to bug fixing and design balance. Particular effect connections for jump tunnels were implemented. The devs are now focusing on polishing the VFX and supporting graphics technology. The team also progressed with significant data conversion to add GUIDs, which will help the VFX artists manage particle effects more efficiently. Elsewhere, performance improvements are underway, including using multiple threads for particle updates and adjusting VFX regression tests to detect issues earlier. All right, Interactables. The Interactables team spent time in August on items for Pyro mission content. Cool, that was a lot. Lighting. The lighting team continued to support multiple areas of development, including Pyro space stations, acidic caves, and closeout work for Alpha 324. Lots of work on Pyro. Last month, the locations team, specifically the landing zone team, progressed with tasks for Alpha 4.0, including adding new areas and additional polish to Pyro's space stations. So this is just a lot of polish and closeout work going into 4.0 and 324. Pyro space stations and acidic caves are 4.0 stuff. Pyro mission content 4.0. Pyro space stations 4.0. The locations team pressed forward with ground bases, moving the initial modules through Greybox. Improvements were also made to several new location types coming with Pyro 4.0. Ground bases, these might be the fobs that we're seeing in Stanton now. Mission design. Mission design spent time in August updating the salvage mission archetype, enabling it to spawn ground panels and provide FPS gameplay at scrapyards. This is we already know this is part of the missions coming in 4.0 as well. They also continued to work on the repair location missions recently shown as on the social gameplay of Pyro episode of Inside Star Citizen. The team is targeting 3 main gameplay elements for the initial release: charge and drain, which is charging devices that use batteries for operation; replace component, which is replacing fuses in relays; and repair pipe, fixing damaged pipes using RMC. Again, this is the combination of multiple gameplay options to build out what I perceive to be like the engineering or maintenance side of gameplay. I really appreciate that it's not just one of these things, because one of them I think would be a little bit boring. And I do hope that we quickly can get those back in Stanton as well. The team also continued to design resource gathering, including determining which commodities buyers in Stanton would want extracting from Pyro. That's pretty nice. There's your additional reason for players not looking for combat to get into Pyro, to get the most valuable commodities that don't spawn in Stanton, requiring escorts, which then requires other players to get involved, and you pay them out, and these missions better pay well. They're also expanding the mechanic to include FPS resource gathering, which will be the first step towards basic MMO-type fetch quests. Elsewhere, a new mission type progressed and the team will discuss in a future update. See, this is like, I think when people say they want content, this is the meat and potatoes of what they're talking about. Like, they want things to do and reasons to do them, and missions at the very least go beyond sandbox gameplay in giving new players something specific to go and achieve, like an objective to go after, which is good. This combined with the economic changes that they're talking about here could make things a lot more interesting, but I really, really hope that they're coming in around the same time. We still don't know when this economy stuff's really going to come around. Narrative team. The narrative team spent time last month working with design and branding to further develop the new contested zones and enhance the gameplay that players will experience there. The team also made improvements to the cargo hauling missions and continued to work on unannounced mission content that will be coming to Stanton and Pyro. It's nice to hear Stanton involved there. Some people believe that if they don't go to Pyro, they're not going to get anything new out of this next update 4.0, and it's not true. I mean, you're already getting engineering, and the new fauna. The fauna is not really going to give you too much, but you know, at least you can go hunting a little bit more. It's nice to know that there's also mission content that's coming in Stanton as well, and hopefully some more updates to the locations too. Yeah, MFDs would be something, and hopefully we get Quantum Boost. Fingers still crossed for that. I know I keep saying it. I hope it happens. Bring us Quantum Boost in 4.0 CIG. That would be a huge get. That would be great. The narrative design team focused on improving AI behaviors at settlements to give a more natural feel to the NPCs that players will encounter there. They also fleshed out the new social AI test bed. Yeah, those AI updates could also help with Stanton as well. If server meshing makes the game more stable, then Stanton will be better just for that. Online technology. Isn't that the whole game? In August, the online services team progressed with features scheduled for Alpha 4.0. Significant progress was made on the updates for the mission and markers system, and the team completed the new player trade service, which will allow players to trade game currencies in a server meshed environment. Really wish this said, we need a good way to exchange items with some kind of escrow service functionality. Like, I should be able to transfer ownership of something to somebody else, right? Anything that I have bought in game, I should be able to transfer ownership to somebody else. That way you can hold arms deals, you can trade resources, you can trade all this kind of stuff and have a little bit of backup from the official game that keeps you safe when you're doing it. But we still haven't heard about that yet. Yeah, an inventory section to the wallet would be cool. Loading out ships for sure, yeah. Time was also spent testing and gathering metrics for a newly enabled EAC anti-cheat feature in Evocati and the PTU. Alongside helping to stabilize the Alpha 3.24 release, online services helped player relations unblock accounts with lingering login issues. Hands up if you if you've had some lingering online login issues. Regarding live tools, the team met with player support and player experience during a visit to the Montreal studio. Quote, it was a great opportunity for both teams to sit together and work on the future of the Network Operations Center and how it could improve the quality of life for the support teams with its current and upcoming features. End quote. Elsewhere, the architecture for the error reporting tool progressed well. The VFX team continued their support for jump points and dynamic fire, both of which were shown in recent episodes of Inside Star Citizen, and they also completed their work on acidic caves, 2 vehicles, and an unnamed energy weapon that has functionality not seen before in the PU. How much money on the table that that's a taser? What do you guys think? Could we see a taser coming into the PU? You think it's Volt? But they've already named the Volt weapons. This one would have to be something they haven't told us about yet. Beam guns? Maybe beams. Maybe beams. Be shocked if it was a taser. If it was a taser, that'd be big for bounty hunting, for sure. Ultimately, this was This was a great monthly report. Despite some of the sections being fairly short, this had some really good bits in it. Especially, I mean, the biggest thing is this right here. Critical components, removing soft def. That's a big deal. I'm really excited to hear that. Also some good stuff from charge and drain, overheating. Nice to hear service beacons getting worked on. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on. And I think right now, things feel really turbulent in the game. And I think that's mainly because of delays. You know, at the end of the day, I think people are just very frustrated that 4.0 has taken so long and Pyro has taken so long. I think if 4.0 and Pyro had already come out this year and we were still getting the same updates here, well, obviously we wouldn't be getting the same updates because this is all very 4.0 focused. I think a lot of this, I think the feel and the excitement of the community would be a lot different, because the progress we can see in the near future, and people will say this is generally just how they operate. You know, dangling the carrot, making people excited, making you feel good about what's coming up, while also delaying things. But genuinely, these updates speak so much more towards an actual game being made than they did a year or two ago. Monthly reports have always been the very interesting part of following Star Citizen's development. Getting a very clear look into what's going on in different parts of the game and reading it through and connecting the dots. Always been a lot of fun. But if we had gotten a monthly report that talked about engineering gameplay, scanning gameplay, cargo hauling gameplay, mining gameplay, the removal of soft def, the economy, like, these are topics that just didn't really come up that much before. I mean, I can even jump back real quick to, let's say, Star Citizen monthly report, August 2022, and see what they were saying back then. I'm about to get smacked in the face. I'm gonna eat my words in a second here. Watch. It's gonna be like the most interesting monthly report from that year. You go down to their features section. Gameplay features are working on the resource network, with relay items for the Hammerhead and Hull A being updated to align with the vehicle content team's work mentioned above. They then started to look into setups for the Crusader Ares and other similar sized ships. So they're talking about similar stuff in the resource network, but the difference between that and the details that they're showing us here, engineering screen receiving polish, the design actually functioning, and looking into the details of how power plants are interacting with one another, how components are going to lose power and that's how your ship's going to shut down. Those kind of details go way far beyond what these kind of monthly reports used to say. This one, they're talking about how a coffee machine and a lamp connect to a ship's power. Wonderful. I love my coffee machines. But again, it sounds like design work as opposed to actual polishing work. I like how this says work on life support was finalized and is now awaiting downstream support. That was, Jesus, that was 2 years ago. So I think also what makes this better is that we're actually seeing this in person. These monthly reports are so isolated because this is the only place we were hearing about these things. But now we get ISCs and citizen cons and actual footage talking about these features that makes it feel more real, I think. And combining that with other things like, you know, what they've been saying about the economy teams, how the graphics folks are actually making progress on things that we've seen delivered over the last year, like the Vulkan API and upscaling and graphics improvements like GI. The new space stations and outposts. These things, these monthly reports make me feel better about the direction of the development than they used to. Because it does feel like they're actually working towards game stuff as opposed to just building out features that can eventually be plugged in together. And I know this is still relatively early. It's 12 years in. It's been a long freaking time. Okay, I'm not saying that like we're early in a game's natural, normal development. But as far as Star Citizen is concerned, the game has only started to just come around. The engine took so much of the time. Squadron 42 took so much of the time. Working towards this level took way too long. But that being said, we can see things starting to be plugged in together.